When someone is unresponsive, is not breathing, or only gasping, and has no pulse, it is critical to begin CPR right away. CPR consists of 30 chest compressions, followed by 2 ventilations. Compressing the chest and allowing it to return to its normal position moves blood carrying oxygen to the brain and other vital organs. First, ensure that the person is on their back on a firm, flat surface, such as the ground. Next, kneel beside them like this with your knees near the person's body and spread about shoulder-width apart. Place the heel of one hand in the center of their chest with your other hand on top. Now, interlace your fingers and make sure they are up off the chest. Then, position your body so that your shoulders are directly over your hands. Lock your elbows to keep your arms straight. This technique allows you to use your body weight to help compress the chest. You are now in the correct position to give compressions. When giving compressions, push hard and fast. Compress the chest to a depth of at least 2 inches and a rate of between 100 and 120 compressions per minute, or about 1 every half second. After each compression, let the chest return to its normal position. Watch as I demonstrate just a few chest compressions so you can see what they look like. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. Now it is time to put the skills you have just learned, giving chest compressions and giving ventilations, together in order to give cycles of CPR for an adult. Each CPR cycle consists of 30 chest compressions followed by 2 ventilations. Remember, it is important to begin each CPR cycle with chest compressions. However, if drowning is the suspected cause of cardiac arrest, deliver 2 initial ventilations before starting CPR cycles. Also, make sure you smoothly transition between chest compressions and ventilations. Interruptions in compressions to give ventilation should be as short as possible, taking less than 10 seconds. Okay, now watch as I put chest compressions and ventilations together to perform 2 cycles of CPR. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 and 11 and 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.
CPR for a child is essentially the same as CPR for an adult, with 2 small differences. First, compress the child's chest to about 2 inches instead of to at least 2 inches. Second, when giving ventilations, open the airway to a slightly past neutral position instead of to a past neutral position. As for an adult, each CPR cycle for a child consists of 30 chest compressions followed by 2 ventilations. And just as you would for an adult, compress the chest at a rate of between 100 and 120 compressions per minute and allow for full chest recoil. For a small child, you may only need to perform chest compressions using 1 hand instead of 2. When using 1 hand, be sure you're able to compress the chest about 2 inches. Simply place the heel of 1 hand in the center of the chest and give compressions. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 and 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. For a child or an adult, once you begin CPR, do not stop. Continue CPR until you see signs of ROSC, such as movement, breathing, or coughing. An AED is ready to analyze the heart rhythm. Other trained providers take over and relieve you from giving compressions and ventilations. you are too exhausted to continue, or the situation becomes unsafe.
Our heart is an amazing organ. It works hard for us every second of every day, delivering blood and oxygen to every cell in our body. But when sudden cardiac arrest strikes, our heart suddenly and unexpectedly stops beating effectively and blood flow stops. Without any intervention, the brain, vital organs, and our heart will begin to die. Beginning CPR is the person's only chance of survival. Brain damage will start to set in within 4 minutes, and after 10 minutes, brain damage becomes irreversible. The power to save a life is truly in your hands. Performing CPR accomplishes 2 critical things. 1, compressions move oxygenated blood to the brain to keep the brain alive. And 2, compressions keep blood and oxygen moving to the heart muscle itself, so that it has the best chance of resuming a normal electrical rhythm after a shock is delivered. As you begin compressions, you are creating an artificial pump and doing the work of the heart manually. With each good, effective compression, you are building up pressure in the system, which will move blood around the heart and up to the brain. It does take time to get the blood moving with CPR, so it is very important to push hard and push fast to build the pressure up, which keeps blood going to the brain. Pushing down at least 2 inches allows for the heart to be squeezed and blood to move out. Pushing at a rate of 100 to 120 compressions per minute is necessary to keep blood pumping. Let's see what happens when we take our hands off the chest. Blood stops moving to the brain. It is for this reason that if you are taking your hands off the chest to deliver breaths or switching roles, it is critical to minimize time off the chest. Watch what happens when we don't push deep enough. Blood does not reach the brain. The same is true if we do not push fast enough. Watch what happens when we push too fast. The heart does not have time to refill with blood, therefore not enough blood gets pumped out. Watch what happens when we don't allow the body to decompress and allow the chest to fully recoil. The heart does not have a chance to refill with blood, therefore no blood gets pumped out. So remember, the key purpose of delivering compressions is to keep oxygenated blood moving within the heart and up to the brain to keep the brain alive. We need to push hard and push fast in the center of the chest. If ribs break, that's okay. What's not okay is allowing the brain to die from a lack of oxygen. So remember, you are their only hope. Do the best you can, and don't give up until medical help arrives or an AED is present. You can do it.
When a person is in cardiac arrest, early use of an AED can help restore a normal heartbeat. For each minute CPR and defibrillation are delayed, a person's chance of survival decreases by 7 to 10%. If you are the only rescuer available to operate the AED, turn on the AED as soon as it is available and follow the voice prompts.
Attach pads firmly to person's bare chest as shown.
Remove all clothing covering the chest to place the AED pads and wipe the chest dry if necessary. First, always use adult AED pads on anyone older than 8 years of age and/or weighing more than 55 pounds or 25 kilograms. Do not use pediatric AED pads because the shock delivered will not be sufficient. Then, place one pad on the upper right side of the chest. And the other on the lower left side of the chest, a few inches below the left armpit. Follow the diagrams and labeling of where each pad goes. If the AED pad has a feedback device, follow the manufacturer's instructions for use.
Plug-in connector.
Plug the pad connector cable into the AED if necessary, and prepare to let the AED analyze the heart's rhythm. Make sure no one, including you, is touching the person. Say clear in a loud commanding voice.
Don't touch person. Analyzing.
Clear. Be ready to deliver a shock if the AED determines one is needed.
Shock advised. Press flashing shock button.
Again, make sure no one, including you, is touching the person, and say clear in a loud commanding voice. Clear. Push the shock button to deliver a shock if the AED determines one is needed. After the AED delivers a shock, or if no shock is advised, immediately start CPR, beginning with compressions.
Shock delivered. Start
1
CPR.
and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. Continue giving CPR cycles until the AED prompts that it is reanalyzing. You see signs of ROSC, such as movement, breathing, or coughing. Other trained providers take over and relieve you from giving compressions and ventilations. You are too exhausted to continue, or the situation becomes unsafe.
For anyone up to 8 years of age, including infants, or weighing less than 55 pounds or 25 kilograms, follow these pediatric AED guidelines. Use pediatric AED pads to deliver a lower energy dose. For children, position these pads as depicted in the diagram. If pediatric AED pads are not available, it is safe to use adult AED pads. However, the AED pads should never touch each other when applied, like this. So if it appears that the AED pads would touch each other, place one pad in the middle of the chest and place the other pad on the back between the shoulder blades. When using an AED on an infant, always use the front-back pad placement. To do this, apply one pad in the middle of the infant's chest and the other pad on the infant's back between the shoulder blades.
When there are two rescuers, the steps for using an AED are the same, but one rescuer performs CPR while the other operates the AED. Teddy is here to demonstrate with me how to use an AED when there are two rescuers. After completing the rapid assessment and recognizing that the person is in cardiac arrest, I'll begin care as the other rescuers arrive to assist.
When I arrive with the AED, I'll set it up while Francis continues CPR.
That's right. I won't pause CPR until the device is ready to analyze the person's heart rhythm.
After I deliver the shock, or if no shock is advised, we'll switch roles.
And we'll continue CPR. Watch as we demonstrate these steps. And 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. One and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10.
EMS has been called. I have the AED and I'll set it up.
17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24,
Attach
25,
pads firmly
26,
to person's
27,
bare chest
28,
as shown.
29, 30. One and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6
Plug-in
and 7
connector.
and 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18,
Don't
19,
touch
20,
person.
21,
Analyzing.
22.
Clear. I'll take over the next round of compressions.
Shock advised. Press flashing shock button.
Clear.
Shock delivered. Start
1
CPR.
and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
After the shock was delivered, we switch roles.
You should switch roles like this about every 2 minutes, taking less than 10 seconds to minimize interruptions to chest compressions.
This video is intended to help you understand how an AED works. The ECG strip you are going to see is from Steve's actual save, a real person who is alive today because of an AED and some good Samaritans who took action. Once you turn on an AED, the machine will begin to speak to you. Follow the voice prompts. Once the pads have been placed, the AED will instruct you to stand clear and to not touch the patient while it does an ECG of the heart. The AED is designed to determine if the heart is in a normal rhythm or if it needs to be shocked. In this case, the heart is in ventricular fibrillation, the most common rhythm when someone goes into sudden cardiac arrest. Notice how the heart is not beating effectively. It has electrical activity, but it is uncoordinated. The heart looks like it is shaking like a bowl of jelly. When in this rhythm, you can see the heart is not effectively pumping any blood out. This rhythm is deadly and has to be stopped. When the AED reads a shockable rhythm, the AED will either instruct you to press the shock button, or some AEDs are automatic and will automatically shock the person. At this point, no one should be touching the patient. The AED will send an electrical current through the heart and back again. The purpose of this shock is to stop the heart completely for a very short period of time from this uncoordinated rhythm and give it time to reset. Notice how the shock stopped all the electrical activity in Steve's heart for a brief period. Seconds after this shock, our own SA node, the pacemaker of our heart, will try to regain control of the heart and tell the rest of the heart when to squeeze. It can take up to 2 minutes for the heart to reorganize itself electrically after a shock, before it will function again and effectively pump blood to the brain. This is why you will be instructed to begin CPR immediately after the shock. Your job is to push hard and fast in the center of the chest in order to manually pump blood to the brain, to keep the brain alive. Your compressions will not interfere with the heart trying to reorganize itself electrically, so do not worry about that. After 2 minutes, the AED will instruct you to stop CPR. It will reanalyze the heart and advise whether another shock is needed. Always listen to the machine and follow the voice prompts. In Steve's case, the ECG picked up a healthy rhythm and therefore a second shock was not advised. In Steve's case, only 1 shock was required to bring him back to life. Steve's heart continues to beat and he is alive and with us today.